Racquel, welcome to Quantum Messages. Thanks for joining the show today.
Thank you, Ani. I'm so glad to be here. I appreciate it.
So, Racquel and I have done several roundtable discussions on Indigo Angels podcast. And from what I've learned from my interactions with Racquel is that she has received multiple downloads from the higher dimensions. And she also channels Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, and the Council of Three. Racquel has done extensive clearing of negative entity forces, specifically the Draco, for herself and others. And today, after Racquel describes her channeling process and who she channels, one of them is going to come in and we will do a live channeling session together on this podcast. So I'm super excited about that. And Racquel, thank you so much for coming in. And I just want to say thanks to your guides as well as they are listening. So, with that
You're
being
welcome.
said, thank you. With that being said, how do you get involved? How did you get involved in channeling, and can you describe the process?
Okay. Well, first off, I want to thank you so much for having me, and I'm really, really excited to be here. And I also want to convey that the guides that are with me are super, super excited to be here as well. They're like just it feels like a crackling energy around me. They're like really excited for this transmission. So yes, we will get started. Um, so for me, it was a journey of discovery, I would say, because I come from a background that didn't essentially believe in religion or in any of the energies, shall we say, of the ascension or whatever that means. I was completely in the dark, if you will, of all of these processes, and so it was for me a process of just discovering these things for myself. And so I was in the 9 to 5 sort of rat race, going through all of these motions in my life until until about, I would say, perhaps 2008. And then I always had yoga and meditation as a constant in my back pocket, though, throughout my adult life. Um, but then it all sort of came online for me when I moved to Vancouver, and I had just gotten over a breakup of my 7-year marriage, and so I sort of turned the focus inward, if you will, and started to focus more on what my spiritual journey was all about. I always had this uh, sort of energy of quest, if you will, and I wanted to find out more and more. And my initial years going through my childhood and my young adult life didn't quite offer me that. Like, I went through Christianity. I did a bit of, Buddhism, and I learned a lot from Buddhism. It was a great experience. Um, so all of my meditation foundation, if you will, came from Buddhism. But then I went off to live on Salt Spring Island as a yogi for about 2 years, and this is where um, my my spirituality, if you will, a deeper got into a deeper layer, if you will. And this is where I started focusing my energy on the higher energies and fine tuning those meditations, if you will. Um, but I was still searching because the place that I was in sort of followed the Hindu tradition, and that even though it's a beautiful tradition, it didn't really gel with me. It didn't feel connected somehow. And so I was still searching, and one day I came across this workshop that was related to automatic writing. And so I said, why not? Let's try it out and see what's out there and what might happen. And I stumbled into this workshop, and by the end of the day, I was actually channeling and receiving scribbles in the form of scribbles and drawings from some energy that was not myself, right? And so it came to me in the form of just childlike drawings, but it was trying to communicate to me some sort of landscape, if you will. And by the end of it showed me like this futuristic landscape of buildings and structures that I had never seen on Earth before, right? Um, and then we sort of develop this yes or no answer, if you will. So I would ask a question and I would say, show me a yes or show me a no. And so we sort of developed this form of communication by the end of the day. And I started to get more and more information. And I discovered that this being was coming to me from Saturn. And so this was like very exciting for me. I had never ever communicated with an energy being before, right? And so I like embraced it with everything I had, and it took like 2 or 3 days. I just left everything aside and I was like drawing and scribbling and trying to find out more and more about what this being had to tell me, right? And so it started to tell me about my past lives, and in sort of it was a scrambled way because we had not yet like got a full communication in a way um, worked out, but I still got the gist of it. Like it would tell me, that I had a lifetime as a, I don't know, like as a turtle, as a butterfly, as a, all these different elemental energies and creatures and things like that. So it was really interesting. But then on day 3, there was a shift in the energy, and I felt this sort of very strong, almost imposing energy that came into my um, field, if you will. And what this being did to me when I was communicating with it, it sort of opened my clairaudient channels so that I could hear into the other realms. And I didn't realize it until this new shift happened. And I could hear them speaking to each other. Even though I wasn't saying anything, it was more like a telepathic understanding of what was going on. And so all of this was new to me, and I was like, it was like watching something happening outside of my body, right? It was all very strange and surreal. So anyway, I just watched and, sort of listened to what was happening. And it was very strange because it felt like they were shooing this person out of the way in a sense, and sort of taking on the control of what this being had of my energy. And then after a while, I couldn't sense this energy anymore that was, drawing and speaking to me. And then one of these energies introduced themselves to me, and they gave me 5 names, and they didn't identify themselves, as the Draco, or from a star system, if you will. But then as they went along and I found out more about them, I came to understand that they were a group of 5 that was from the Draco constellation. And so I started to do my research, but it was very strange because they were already within my um, energy body, if you will. So they were like constantly in my presence. So they took over the channel of this clairaudient channel that I had opened up, if you will, with this other energy. And so they were like constantly within my field. Every thought, every action, every thing that I did, they were conscious of it, and I was conscious of them. And so they were really charming, and they had the ability to sort of bring that message to me that they were coming to me in peace, and they also brought in the energy, or I guess I should say the false energy of Archangel Michael. Um, and so, like, I had never connected with this energy before, so I couldn't distinguish, whether it was right from wrong, right? And so I continued to watch and observe what was happening, and they continued to speak to me, and then they wanted to write a book with me about their civilization and their experiences. And so I said, okay, let me think about it. But at night, I started to notice some things, and they started to experiment on my physical body, which I didn't approve, or I didn't like, or I didn't agree to, right? And so I started to withdraw, and I said, no, this is not right. I don't feel like I should continue with this conversation. I'd like you to go. But I didn't feel that they would listen to me, or they wouldn't accept any of my rejections in a way, right? And so at that point, I was very naive. Like, I didn't know how to remove negative energies or dark energies from my reality, right? And so I got in touch with a healer in the US and asked her to help me out. And so she brought in Kuan Yin at that time, and she did a energy healing session with me. I had some temporary reprieve. She was able to get rid of them for about a couple of days, but then they found a way to get back. And so I called her again and I said, it worked for a couple of days, but they're back again. And it was as if they came back with a vengeance. This time it was more like they had like a threatening sort of energy to them, and they were like, we can end your life anytime we choose. And they were trying to scare me, right, and instill fear in me. And so I was afraid because I was sort of stumbling into the unknown and I didn't understand what was happening to me, right? And so the second session that I had with this healer, she brought in the higher energies of Mother Mary, Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, um, Tara, and Kuan Yin. And so they formed like it was like a quadrant around me, and then um, I think Yeshua was on the top of my head, like it was almost like a star, if you will, in the shape of a star. They formed themselves around me, and we did a healing session, and they managed to remove these energies from my reality. So, yeah, that's the long story of how I was introduced to these energies. But it was a very um, dark, it was very scary for me. Um, and yeah, um, to me now, upon reflection, it sort of opened me up in a way that I had not expected. I was thrown in the deep end, and there were gifts that came with it, but I had to align all of that eventually to understand what had happened to me. And so, with the introduction of Yeshua and his entourage, I like to call them, they helped me to heal tremendously from this experience. And so it was about a year after that first encounter that I finally was able to heal from that experience and align all of that. So, yeah, hopefully that gives you a bit of a background.
Yeah, wow. When you were speaking, it reminded me what Carla Ruckert had said and warned
Yes.
about channeling. So,
Yep.
so Carla Ruckert, Don Elkins, and then Jim McCartney were the ones who channeled the Law of One, the raw
Yes.
material, for those who
Yes.
don't know. But one of her books, I've read the material and studied it extensively. But she said, and she warned that it's when you first start channeling, you have to be really careful. And she always recommended channeling in groups of 3 so that everyone can set the space, and then also a protective, energetic layer around the channeler.
Hmm.
Because there are those dark entities that will come in and tap in and pretend to be, like you said, Saint Michael or Archangel Michael and or someone else, and they're not, and
Yeah.
they're just feeding off of the energy. And so it just really, yeah, that reminded me, it's really interesting of that. And then also that it's so great that you were able to seek guidance and then also healing from that circumstance. There's others who have not been so lucky and have been able to do that. So if anybody does channel in the future, I just want to say and recommend that please do it with someone who knows what they're doing, and then also do it with people who can set the space for you. Uh, how do you feel about that, Raquel, after,
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. Yeah, I just stumbled into this in a very wrong way, in a wrong method. And so I completely I completely agree with you. It's a very delicate path to go down, right? And so if you are not familiar with any of these interdimensional energies, and especially the situation that we are in, with the Draco influence, we cannot really dive into these paths, if you will, without proper, training or abilities or knowing, for that matter. Um,
yeah.
I just have to add, though. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I just have to add, though, even with the influence of Yeshua and his entourage, just going back to my path, I had not, um, you know, any belief in this being or these energies, right? And so there was that initial tug of war, if you will, within my own being and my own consciousness. Like I did not align with the church or Christianity, right? And I had completely rejected reading the Bible as a kid. And so I was like, very, very skeptical of this being as well, right? And so I was like, as any 3D person, right? It's like, prove to me who you are, or show me the right way that I can trust you and I can believe you, especially after what I had just come from, right? Especially after
Mhm.
that experience, I was like in this completely non-trusting frame of mind, right?
Mhm.
But he took me very gently. It was like he held my hand, and through a very day-to-day sort of training and discovery, like he taught me how to trust again. And it was all very it was all like daily exercises, if you will, and things that showed me the way. And it was like truth would keep hitting me all the time. It was like I couldn't not believe in what was happening to me, right? And so when I compared the two templates of what had happened with the Draco and what was happening now with these beings, I could completely identify the difference and see the dark from the light, so to speak, right? And so, yeah, I then left the center and I went off to India for a year. And these beings followed me, and I'm by beings, I mean Yeshua and his entourage, right? And so we went on this major grid work mission, if you will, in India. And so
Wow.
that was like yeah, that was like an initiation in its own way, if you will. But I was on a full discovery of what the divine realm was all about and what these beings and their energy was all about. And so yeah, it was a very interesting experience.
Wow. Wow. It's a great story. I was just wondering if you could give us a little bit more history about the Dracos. I feel that there's a little bit confusion about who they are and their interactions with humanity on this planet and their interest in this planet. Just so
Mhm.
people can have a little bit of background information, and then and maybe some, I don't want to scare people, but just, some warning signs. Like if you
Yeah.
see these signs, then maybe you should seek this out,
Yeah.
like seek help out, to get
Yeah.
rid of these attachments. So,
Yeah.
uh, if you could tell us a little bit about that, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I can go many different ways, but let me just show you the book that I wrote. It's called All That Is Progressing to the Fifth Dimension.
Okay.
Um, and so this was a transmission I received from the beings known as the Collective of Three. And so once the introduction was made by Yeshua, um, these beings came online as my primary guides, and they reveal themselves. So one of them, my primary guide, is from the 12th dimension, and then the additional ones came from the Pleiades, and the other one was from Arcturus. So they came to me as the collective of three, and they are till today my primary guides. And so, over the course of the next few years, particularly during the COVID period of time, we wrote that book together, and in about 4 months, I published it. And so, the book talks extensively about, it goes through a bit of cosmic history, if you will, right from the beginning of time, and how we came to be as man and woman, if you will. And then it takes you through the invasion of what we call the Draco invasion on the Earth plane. So, if you're looking at like dates, I would say it's about 26,000 years in our history when this happened. And so, the Draco come from the Draco constellation. So they are beings from the Draco constellation, and they are if you look at them, they are like in stature, they are lizard and humanoid, but they come in different variations of that form. And
Mhm.
so you have the tall whites, they are like the royalty, if you will, of the Draco. And then there's the reptilian, which is like the second layer of that energy. And so there's many different forms of that particular reptilian energy as well. You have the red-skinned ones and the green-skinned ones, and there's many different shapes and forms. But they do walk on 2 feet, and they're very muscular, and they're quite evolved beings, but not evolved from the heart. They're completely disconnected from their heart. They're more evolved technologically and within their mind, I would say. Um, so the separation from their perspective happened when they went against the true evolutionary cycle, if you will, that was developed by the Creator. And so, if on a very simplistic level, if you look at it, the evolutionary cycle would be, say, for example, the first level would be like rocks and stones, and then the second level would be perhaps the elemental energies, and then the third level would be what we call the 3D energy level, which is like the animals, the birds, the bees, the humans, um, and then the fourth dimension is where these beings come in. And so it's the lower third to perhaps the higher fourth is where these beings fit into that energy frequency, if you will. And so they were meant to live on their planet within that frequency, within that energy frequency, but they rebelled, if you will, against this evolutionary process. So once you go past the fourth dimension, like we would on the third dimension, remove or release ourselves from the physical body to become a light being. And then you progress from the fifth to the sixth to the seventh, but in a light being um, um, body, right? You're not in the physical anymore. But these beings rebelled against that and they said, no, we want to be in this physical body, and um, we don't want to become light beings essentially. And so, in that way, they separated themselves from the Creator and explored themselves through in this manner. But it was more of an aggressive, conquering, that sort of mentality, right, that they took on. And so they formed an alliance with some factions within Orion, and they formed a group. I don't know if they gave themselves a separate name, but they were a combination of the Draco and the Orions that infiltrated the Earth plane 25 or 26,000 years ago. And that's when this infiltration took place. Now, the Earth at that point, to my understanding, it was flourishing as a fifth to a seventh dimensional plane of existence. So it was beautiful, it was at peace, and it was following the true evolutionary process as designed by the Creator. And so when these people came and they infiltrated that fine balance, if you will, and so when they brought in their low dimensional energy, which was like the low fourth dimensional energy, they severed that connection that the earth had with the higher dimension. So if you can imagine this pure light to the Creator, they just came and sort of severed that connection. And so there was a falling, if you will, of that energy. And so with that falling of the energy from the Creator, they created what is still active today, a frequency fence around the earth plane. And they did this because they had to survive within their bodies in that lower frequency energy, because they couldn't survive in that energy that was being generated on the earth at that time. It was too high in a way. The vibration was too high for them to deal with. And so they had to bring down the energy of the population and the general energy of the earth. And so they did that through frequency fences, and they installed something on the moon that was generating these radio waves, if you will, back to earth. And they created frequency fences, which is what I think Indy talks about a bit. She talks about the Draco installations and the Draco seals, right?
Yeah,
And
and
so
Oceania too.
they installed all of these seals around the planet, which pulsed um, lower frequency energy to bring down the vibration of all living beings on the earth plane. And so that allowed them to shed their I guess their suits that they came with to to protect themselves from this environment, and so they were able to live as they would on their own planet. But what they didn't realize was that their appearance was a very scary appearance to people on the earth plane, and so they couldn't live that way in fear, right? So if you can imagine this huge strapping lizard-like being coming into your reality and saying, I am going to rule over you now, right? And so they found that, people were just dying in a way out of fright, and they were not able to fulfill what they thought would be their dream, right?
Mhm.
And so that's how they made that original plan to rule as like from behind the scenes, right? And use the humans as their puppets. And so
Mhm.
they developed this massive structure, if you will, which is still being followed in our government and all the high powers of our political environment, if you will. Um, but yeah, that's how they set up their structure to rule from behind the scenes.
Wow. And they are different from the Anunnaki,
They are
correct?
different from the Anunnaki, yes.
Mhm.
The
Very.
Anunnaki, I believe, goes back to the previous wars. So there
Mhm.
have been many wars like this.
Mhm.
But yeah, they came after the Anunnaki.
Wow. So just just like,
It's a
yeah,
big
every
story. It's a
25,000
big
years,
story.
just
Yeah.
yeah, just yeah, just totally like disabling, not disabling, but disabling, humanity one by one. Um, but yeah,
See, that
that's
just speaks to the sophistication of their operation, right? So
yeah.
if you can imagine, like even till today, people still don't know what really is taking place, right? So that tells you how much control they had and how they were able to completely pull the wool, if you will, over our eyes, right? For so many centuries. And people still don't know what's going on. So I just want to assure people, though, of what has happened in terms of the invasion. As of 2012, there is a decree there was a decree that was issued by the Creator to have these beings leave the Earth plane because it was just going too far, right? They were just destroying the Earth, and so um, what is known to a few as the Galactic Federation, and I know a lot of people don't necessarily gel with that term, but the Andromedans led the charge, and so they were watching from afar of what was taking place. And the Earth plane wasn't the only um, plane that these beings caused all the destruction, right? It was like from the time they left the Draco constellation, all of the planets and the planes of existence that they found in their path, they destroyed, and some of them they conquered, and some of them they set up bases and they ruled from there as well. So this wasn't the only plane of existence where they caused destruction. And so all of the beings from those original planes of existence came together and decided to form a coalition, if you will. And so that's roughly what we call the Galactic Federation today. And so the Andromedans were the closest energy to the Creator. And so they led the charge and they sent out um, a request, if you will, for membership from various star nations to come together as a group to finally get the Draco out of all of these planes of existence and send them back. Now, sending them back is another thing. There's two choices that they would be given. I know there's so many layers to this. I'm sorry if I'm
No,
going off
it's
on a
it's
tangent.
fascinating. It's fascinating.
So the decree states that they can choose to go back to the point, and this is on an individual level, go back to the point of separation, which is when they started the invasion essentially, or they go into cosmic dust.
Mhm.
So those are the only two options that they have. And if they select the first option, they have to go through a major healing cycle to reflect on all the deeds, if you will, that they have um, imposed on all of the beings since that separation. And so they go back to that point of separation as a healed being within their own civilization.
Mhm.
And so that eliminates them trying to do the same thing over again, right? And so
Mm,
coming back to that decree that was issued in 2012, which is when the star beings, if you will, made their presence known on the earth plane. And so the Andromedans and all of these other factions, if you will, that roughly or loosely make up the Galactic Federation, came
mhm,
into the atmosphere, if you will, of the earth plane. And so since then, they have been constantly and um, in whatever fashion they can, been eliminating the Draco. And
mhm,
so I just don't want people um, that are listening to this to be afraid of these beings, because we as individuals are powerful beings. And so we have certain tools in our belt as well that can arrest them in their tracks. And so if we speak about this decree, they can no longer hurt us
mhm,
because this decree is coming from the Creator.
mhm. Uh, I have a question about that. Do they, in order for them, they have 2 choices within the decree, and but they have to make the choice, right?
They have to
To
make the
go
choice. Yeah.
either way. So what if they don't choose and they say, "Nope, I'm not doing it."
Well, well,
What
see, they they are being taken off planet whether they
happens?
make the choice or not. So, like, take for example, one of the grid missions that we were on. Say, I think we were together on one the other day, right? So,
Mhm,
if we had collected any beings during that grid mission, the light would surround that geographical area, if you will, right? And so they will um, pick up all of the energies that they collected and take them off planet.
mhm,
And it's like a processing center, if you will. So when they go to this processing center, this is where the review will happen of their life and when the separation happened. And so that's when they're given the choice. So it's not like they can come back to Earth and continue what they were doing, right? So, yeah, if they don't, then healing will take place wherever they are in that processing center.
right.
So eventually they will have to make a choice.
Yeah, it's a big job. It's a big
Yeah,
job for the Guardian, the Guardian
yeah.
Alliance, or yeah, it's just yeah, that's a huge job. I was gonna ask you another question, but it slipped my mind. I didn't write it down, but it
Oh,
was a good question. I'm like, "What is
oh.
it?" Uh, so yeah, it's so fascinating. It's just oh, that's what it was. Okay, I remember now. Uh, are they, like, attempting a last hurrah, so to speak, with AI?
Yeah, it's interesting to see what's manifesting, hey?
Yeah.
So, like, as you know, they have their fingers, if you will, in many different pies, right? Like, they
Mhm,
control everything essentially. So, they are trying to cause as much ruckus and chaos as they can on their way out, right? And so this was like they had the previous administration, let's say, for example, they had that administration in their back pocket, right? And so they were able to do a lot of damage during that time. But yeah, AI, I don't know for a fact if that's necessarily coming from them because we do have people on the earth that are also creator beings that are creating this from their own mind and from their own authentic energy, shall we say, or their own creator energy. And
mhm,
so it's sort of a double-edged sword. If you use AI for negative purposes, then yes, you are in a way using it for the negative purposes or aligned with the Draco, shall we say, or their agenda. But if you use it for good, then you are on your original or authentic path towards your own evolution.
mhm.
So
Interesting.
it's a tricky one, yeah.
Very tricky, and it'll be really fascinating to see what happens in the next couple of years
Yeah,
with
because other planes of existence do use AI as well, and
right.
they use it for the purposes of the good or for the light. Because when
Mhm.
you think of the ships that are coming in from other dimensions, like all of that is AI, right?
Right, and even
Like,
some of the grays,
yeah,
some of
the
those
suits
there
that they use, the
yeah,
machines, all of it is AI, and it's all in a way connected to their own authentic essence or their energy.
yeah. It's such a fascinating subject. I ask all of my guests about AI, and moving forward into some of the channeling questions that I'll ask whoever decides to come in, I will ask it again because
Okay.
I love to hear from everyone. I'm just trying to gather as much information as possible.
Yeah, no, that's understandable.
Yeah. So thank you for that. Was a very thorough explanation. And if anybody else is interested in more about the Draco, please get your book, All That Is. And
Yeah,
I think they can get it on Amazon, correct?
it's on Amazon, and you can also get it on my website. It's
Yeah.
progressingtothefifth.com. So the number 5th.com.
Okay. And I will include all that too in the description as well.
Okay, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
for everyone. So I was wondering if we maybe could, if you're ready to bring someone in, one of your
Yeah,
guides.
absolutely. I believe it's going to be Yeshua. He's very, very excited. He's been like in and out of my energy since this morning, and he's like really excited to be here. So, yeah, we can go ahead with that if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'll just take a sip of water.
Yep. So as Raquel's getting ready, we before we started this podcast and before this interview, we set the space. So if anybody ever does do channeling, please make sure to, and you're new to it, please make sure to seek out your elders to help you learn how to set this space properly. So whenever you're ready.
Greetings. This is Yeshua bin Joseph, the Son of God. I am so pleased to be here with you today. I would like to explain why it is I introduce myself this way. You see, I was born Yeshua as a light being, and since then I had an incarnation on the earth plane as Jesus, the son of Joseph. And so I was given the title bin Joseph, which is that, the son of Joseph. And the title, the Son of God, was presented to me after my incarnation on the earth plane when I returned back to my light body. This was endowed by me, by the Almighty, or who you call the Creator, or all that is, as Racquel refers to this being. So this is just a title. It is not like I am the only Son of God. You are each sons and daughters of God, or the Almighty. And so it was a title, or titles, endowed to me as a result of my incarnation on the earth plane. And so this is why I introduce myself this way. I am ready now to receive your questions.
Thank you, Yeshua, for coming in and speaking to us today. There's so much happening right now collectively with our human consciousness, and there is a lot of uncertainty for our future. Can you help us understand what's going on from a higher perspective?
Thank you. This is a very large question. However, I will try to narrow it down in a way that is understood for your own individual journeys. There are many cycles of evolution on your earth plane. And what you are experiencing now is, shall we say, a fragmented evolution of your civilization and your earth plane, because your earth was also interrupted from the original plan, if you will, of the evolution of not just herself, but all of the inhabitants on her earth plane. And so the fragmentation, if you will, was a result of the war or the invasion by what you know as the Draco. And this caused a rift in the texture or filament, if you will, the cosmic filament. And so this interruption took place on your earth plane. And so, in a way, she has been removed from the cosmic map, and she has had experiences that were not in alignment with the Creator. And so, you have, in essence, all the beings upon her earth plane had to follow with whatever these agendas were in this fractured energy, if you will. And so, what is taking place now is that you are, in a sense, being brought back into alignment as a planet, as a population, as an individual, back into alignment with the true evolution of your earth plane. And so, it is as if you are all waking up from a deep slumber and coming back into the daylight of what used to be your true evolutionary process. And so you are having to understand many thousands of years that have gone by since that time. And so much has happened, not in a good way. And so you are having to align all of those energies and then come to terms with that in terms of your own life and somehow move forward, understanding that this is taking place. It is a huge request, if you will, that is being made to you on an individual, spiritual, cosmic level, because you are having to understand that you are not just living within a third dimensional field, if you will, but you are multidimensional beings, and you always have been multidimensional beings. You just didn't know that. You were shielded from this information by the invaders. And so you have to understand and learn all of these things once again to come to alignment with that energy. And so, in terms of what your future looks like, your earth plane is in a way adjusting herself as well. And so, there's going to be some unrest in terms of your environment and how she aligns herself back into what she understands as her previous self. She is getting help, though, from, let us say, higher energies that are in alignment with her true energy from the past. And so she is healing. She has been healing over the last few years. From a collective of your civilization, shall we say, there are many that are still asleep and do not understand what is taking place. There are a few like yourself and Racquel who understand what is taking place, and so you are, in a way, the pioneers of teaching and sending out these messages to the general population for understanding, for knowledge, and for alignment. And so there is this divide that has to be bridged, if you will. And so any help that we can get from beings like yourselves is helping to bridge that gap and to heal those fractures that were caused to your psyche, to your being, to your soul. As this healing takes place, more and more people are becoming aligned with this vision of what you are and many are calling the new earth. And so, as you align to these energies, the more people that align to these higher vibrational energies, the more you are ascending on your own individual path, as it was truly meant to be all those years ago. And so, on a personal level, I ask that you develop what I may call a daily practice of meditation, of prayer, of seeking your higher self, of the spark within you that resides and is connected directly to the Creator. There are many people that are able to guide you in order to do this, and Racquel is perhaps one of those energies. She has developed a course, she has books, she has meditations that can guide you on this path. There are many others that are doing this work as well. And so I ask you to seek those beings out that are in alignment with your energy so that you raise your frequency, raise your vibrational energy to that higher energy that is in alignment with your earth plane as she moves into this higher state of being. There is no fear. There is no low vibration energy within this energy field, if you will. All of these energies are being left behind. All of these low vibrational energies of strife, of aggression, of fear, of anger. As you move through these challenges, if you will, in your own life, you will face separation perhaps from loved ones or circumstances that surround you. And these energies will fall away because they do not suit you or do not align with your true purpose any longer. Your authentic purpose is revealed at that stage, and so these beings or these circumstances will not align with that energy any longer. And so this means that you will perhaps lose a job or have to separate from a long standing relationship or many other such situations that are not in alignment with the future aspect of where you are as an individual and where the earth is traversing towards. So this is a rather extended version, if you will, or bird's eye view of what is taking place within your immediate reality. Does this help answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much for your wisdom. Another question that I have is, why is there so much cosmic interest in humanity and Earth? And what is it that humanity is holding, maybe genetically and or spiritually, that we don't fully understand yet?
Thank you. So again, there are many layers to this answer, or layers to the question as I understand it. So if you can imagine the initial severing, if you will, of that population, we shall call them Group A. These beings were, in a way, taken as prisoner on your planet. And so they went through lifetime after lifetime, if you will, under the Draco administration. And these beings went through a lot of trauma as their spark, if you will, that was connected to the Creator was severed. And the Draco subjected these beings to their own idea of evolution as a slight, if you will, to the Creator. It was almost like saying to the Creator, we can create our own evolutionary cycle. And so through their technology, they created a scenario where all of these beings were subjected to lifetime after lifetime of incarnation within this created reality, if you will. So that was Group A or Group 1. The second group were beings that came to your reality or came to the earth plane even after the invasion of the Draco, through, shall we say, agreements that were made with them. And so there were still star nations, brave star nations, shall I say, that came forward and still wished to have that physical experience upon the earth plane. But the agreements that they came with were away from the Draco, shall we say. They were protected by their own star nations and by the light. And so many of these beings, which perhaps you would equate to beings like star seeds or crystal children or indigo children, are the beings that came into fruition upon your earth plane through these channels. And so they were allowed to have these experiences away from the Draco and their infiltration or their negative influence. They did still keep an eye on these beings because they found them to be a threat in their reality. And so this group B, shall we say, have had their incarnations and returned to their original star nations with success as it resulted from their incarnation. So in this manner, there have been incarnations upon your earth plane away from the Draco invasion. And so those beings and those star nations that were able to have these experiences found that they had, in a sense, found a way to realize just what the earth plane had to offer and what might have been the reality before the earth plane was invaded, even though it had degraded to a third dimensional reality. And so their reports, when they came back, helped us as higher beings understand the situation, if you will, upon the earth plane. And this has helped us greatly in our plan that we came together with the Andromedan energies that have now come to your plane of existence to impose these decrees as issued by the Creator for the Draco to leave your plane of existence. And so the interest that we have is many levels. One is to rescue these beings from your group A, shall we say, that have been prisoners. And plan B is to allow for the individuals that came in outside of their um, reality, shall we say, to complete their missions successfully without further damage to their beings. And so if you take a collective of both group A and B combined, we are looking at a balance, if you will, that is tipping towards the light with more and more awakening to what is happening on your earth plane. And so once this balance reaches a higher tipping point, shall we say, then more and more light influences your plane of existence, and we are allowed to then save more people from group A, shall we say, because they are realizing these things for themselves. And they are also able to see what is taking place from perhaps the star seeds or the crystal children that surround them. And it is as if they shine a light and attract these beings to themselves or to their energy. And so this is how things are working right now. And there is interest from many because this is another layer, if you will. When the Draco attacked your plane of existence, they not only attacked you, but they came from their plane of existence and attacked many other civilizations. And so all of these star nations or civilizations that they attacked, it took them a while to heal from those energies and from that division, if you will, that they experienced. And so after they had healed sufficiently from that impact, they approached the higher councils and asked for assistance to fight back, if you will, against these forces that invaded them. In some cases, they were still occupying their planes of existence and creating havoc. And so life on those planes were very, very difficult. And so all of these star nations came together under the administration, if you will, of the Andromedans. And so each of these beings are individual factions, if you will, that have an interest in removing the Draco from all of these planes of existence. And so we started all the way from when they first started their invasion spree, and we have moved through the galaxies, recovering and reinstating all of these planes of existence. And we have finally reached the Earth plane. And so all of these factions, if you will, that came together have remained with this collective to remove these beings from the Earth plane, as this is the final destination. And it is the strongest hold. Now you see your Gaia, or your Earth plane, at that point when they first attacked her, she was on a station, if you will, cosmically, that was on the highway, or a trading highway, shall we say, cosmically. And so it was a very beautiful planet. It was a lucrative planet, but it was also a peaceful planet, and beings existed in a very peaceful manner. There were traders, people came from all different planes of existence to trade and to share information and understanding and knowledge. But with the invasion of the Draco, all of this came to an end. And so some of the beings from the other planes of existence remember what Gaia used to be like. And so they wish to reinstate that energy back to what she used to be. So, as I said, there are many layers to this question, and I hope my answers are sufficient.
Yes, thank you very much. Another question I have is that right now, there are a few humans who are pushing and forcing to merge with machines on a higher perspective, as well as from the earth. Why is this being allowed to happen? Why is she, the earth, allowing it to happen on her body?
Thank you. The infiltration, if you will, of artificial intelligence has come to your earth plane from many different sources. And once it was exposed to your human being's mind, if you will, much of these energies were absorbed and taken in or taken on by the human brain as a tool for perhaps improvement of their life situations. However, there are those that use it for dark forces or for dark matters, shall we say, or dark actions. And this is not in alignment with how your artificial intelligence is meant to be used. This is allowed to exist, if you will, by the Almighty as a tool, as an exploration, because no experience is, shall we say, stopped. You are allowed to experience, no matter whether it takes you into the extreme of your dark energy or the extreme of your light energy. And so, on an individual level, if you are wanting to explore where this takes you, then it is allowed. And if it is taking place on the earth plane, then it is allowed. However, under the umbrella, shall we say, of what is taking place on your earth plane at this time, because of what is taking place, there will be restrictions as to how far these energies may proceed. Because we do not wish, or shall we say, the energies of Gaia do not wish for any interference to take place as far as her evolution is concerned. And so she will destroy these energies, if you will, if it comes to that. So there is a limitation into how far these energies can proceed. It feels like your energies are being infiltrated on many levels by this energy. So I ask you to be cautious and instill in your being that initial spark of the Creator. Use your own creative energies because you are experiencing the Creator through this way. And so the more organic your experience, the more in line it is with the Creator. For these energies are not alive, they are not organic. And so it is as if you are creating something that will die. And so it will not matter eventually. So let us say if you completely engulf your life within the artificial intelligence lifestyle, perhaps if you live as 80% of your life involved in this energy and only 20% is your own creative energy, then once your incarnation is complete, just the 20% will be taken as valid, shall we say, of your experience. The 80% is dead material and does not incorporate your experience. So it is a very fine line in how these energies flourish within your existence. I hope this answers your question.
Yes, thank you. It really aligns with the law of one and the raw material, very much so, with what you were saying. Another question that I have is there was a message from an ancient indigenous people in Colombia from the Kagaba Nation or the Kogi Nation, and they received a message from Earth and warned humanity in December 2023. And it was a very concerning warning that they had stated to us. And they said that the ending will fall into the beginning in 2026. My question is are we on this timeline and trajectory given what's occurring right now with this massive push for AI and the use of copious and outrageous amounts of resources and energy, which is clearly not good for the earth? So, taking from the earth to power all of the AI is not aligning with moving forward and working with the earth as one. So, my question to you is are we moving towards this timeline?
Thank you. My beloved Mary Magdalene will answer this question as she works with timelines. Greetings. This is Mary Magdalene. I am here to answer your question, and it is truly a pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you.
From my perspective, timelines are very fluid energies, if you will. They move in and out of your individual energy, but they also move in and out of your collective energy, and then they move in and out of the cosmic energy. So, if you will, imagine a line from your personal energy field as it connects to the collective energy field, And then that collective energy field is like a larger connection into the cosmic energy field. And so as you individually connect to your collective energy field, it is the thinking of the individual that impresses upon the collective energy. And so that directs how the timelines move and shift. And so, as stated in your conversation earlier, the more people awaken, the more people raise their frequency vibration to the truth of what is happening on your earth plane, the more in alignment you are with Gaia and her evolution, if you will. And so she heals based on what it is that you are perceiving or the actions that you are taking. She is healing on her own on many levels. She is getting assistance from the higher energies and from the higher realms. And there are many layers to her healing. But it is key for all of the inhabitants on the earth plane and the collective on the earth plane to heal her as well. And so, going back to the vision that I just showed you of your individual light, if your individual light is earthed or connected to the earth plane and is transmitting high vibrational energy, then you are lending a hand to her healing as well. And if you come as a group and do the same thing, it is multiplied that much more. And so, as you come together as a collective healing and raising your frequency vibration, you are healing yourself and you are healing the earth individually and collectively. And so there is no need for her to unearth, shall we say, volcanoes or weather formations that might cause disruptions on your earth plane. There are things that are happening in a more positive manner, shall we say, that are allowing for the truths that have long been hidden from your people. And so it is good for you to explore these truths and find out for yourself what has truly been happening. And so as you engage with these truths, your body is aligning to the higher truth of your individual being. And that is aligning with the energy of Gaia as well. And so time, in a way, does not matter. The timeline that you mentioned, it is a potential. It is a weak potential at this moment. And so it is very flexible and fluid what could potentially happen. But at this point, we are seeing that it is a positive outcome. And so the more that you infect, shall we say, the cosmic or the collective field with these higher dimensional energies or higher vibrational energies, the better it is for all of you as a collective and individually. As this collective vibration increases and is in true alignment with Gaia and her eventual healing completely and in alignment with her evolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Today marks the new moon and Chinese New Year of the wooden snake. What will this year bring?
Your year 2025 is a year of transformation and evolution. It is a year of abundance. And so this is what the snake entails. It is the shedding of the old skin and bringing in the new powerfully. And so it is as if all of the star seeds have been holding back on their mission, if we take them as an example. And so this is a time for them to shine, for them to bring into fruition all of those plans that they had made. It is the time to bring forth new energies. It is the time to bring forth new plans. It is the time for everybody to shine. And so this is a good year to make those plans, to create those foundations for your new earth within this higher vibrational energy. There is an old story of the snake in your Garden of Eden. This is the energy of truth, shall we say, of balance, as the wise snake watched the Creator as it went through the motions of creating man and woman. It held the secrets of creation within its own being. And so the energy of the snake has all of this wisdom. And so all you need to do is explore your own wisdom, and all of these secrets will be revealed to you. There are many secrets, so use your discernment. And if you find such a secret, share it with your close friends and family, but in a way that is authentic, that is in truth, and that is in alignment with your own being and with the highest good for yourself, for your collective, and for your earth plane. Blessings.
Thank you. As a teacher, I've been noticing that the children growing up right now are changing and a new human is emerging. What is this new human that is coming forth?
This is Yeshua. I will answer this question. As I have stated earlier, there are many versions to the children that are being birthed at this stage in your reality. There are those that are coming into your reality from the star nations that wish to explore this dimension or this reality within this experience, shall we say, between the new world and the old world. And so these beings are being birthed with a higher DNA strand than perhaps you or Racquel. And so they are more aware of what is taking place. They still come in with some veils, if you will, within the three-dimensional reality. And so they have to discover these things for themselves. But it is a quick transition for them. For if they are triggered by something, it is like a single light will light them up, light up their entire being, and they instantly become aligned to their mission. So these are some of the beings that are being birthed on your earth plane. They are completely aware of their mission and what it is they need to do. And there are many different aspects to these missions. There are those that are, as we talked earlier, who are aligned with your artificial intelligence. And so it is unfortunate that many of these children, if they do not correct themselves or course correct, they will unfortunately have an incarnation that is not beneficial to their soul. And then there are those that we talked about earlier that are birthed within that Draco influence, shall we say. And so those beings are the ones that need more healing because of the trauma that they had inflicted upon themselves through their mind and their past lives. And so there are three different versions, if you will, of children that are being birthed upon your earth plane at this time. And so The impressions upon the star children are the most in alignment with where you are going as a new earth birth, shall we say. Does this answer your question?
Yes, thank you, Yeshua. I was wondering, what message do you want to give to humanity right now in this time and space?
My message when I was birthed 2,000 years ago as Jesus was a message of peace, and that still remains in my heart, even though I faced many difficulties during that incarnation. I was still able to accomplish, shall we say, 80% of my mission. It is a message of peace. It is a message of joy and of love, because the Creator is a being of love. And so each of you have these energies within your body. You just have to find it and find that spark within your heart chakra, and allow for this spark to glow in your everyday lives. As I said earlier, the way to do this is to create a daily practice of meditation and alignment to your higher self. This is the more direct way of aligning with the energies of the Creator. It instantly connects you to the higher self and to the oversoul and eventually to the Creator. And so once you establish this contact, shall we say, and strengthen that contact, you are directly aligned with the Creator. And this guidance is invaluable as you go through your daily life, shall we say. This guidance will take you through whatever difficulties and allow you to navigate in a more peaceful, cohesive manner, in harmony with the earth and with your own soul. Blessings.
Thank you so much, Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, for dropping in and sharing your wisdom with us.
Blessings. It is our pleasure.
Thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So
How was that?
it was great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Do you want, Racquel, can you tell us where we can find your work and how we can get a hold of you and all the offerings that you are sharing right now?
Sure. Yeah, my website is progressingtothefifth.com. So that's progressing to the 5th.com as the numeral 5. And I offer one-on-one sessions with ascended masters like Yeshua and Mary Magdalene as well. So I have links on my website to those. Recently, I've been also working with the energies of Hathor and Horus of Egypt. And so these beings came to me with just stories of their incarnation, if you will, of the earth and their experiences and how they were able to ascend from that time that they lived in Egypt. In terms of other services, I offer one-on-one healing sessions. And again, this is directly what I guess what came through with Yeshua. It's connecting to your higher self. So I take you through a chakra clearing through meditation, and then identify, if you will, if you're not already familiar with your higher self energies. And so identify that energy and strengthen it and give you guidance on how you can move forward in a better way to connect with those energies on a daily basis. So the book, the courses, and my one-on-one sessions, they all sort of intermingle with one another. The book sort of gives you a historical background of what took place, and then the course goes into more detail. So I have 11-part course that I'm actually offering. Well, today's the 29th, so it's just for another day. I've got it at a 50% discount on. I'm actually offering it through Stan, so it's Stan .store / all that is. If you go to that web, and I'll send that to you so you can post it on this podcast. But yeah, I've just advertised there for the course at 50%, so you've got 2 days to sign up for that. But yeah, the 11-part module goes through how you can connect to your higher self, but it goes into more details with meditations, with examples, and it's like a workshop and how you can accomplish that. So yeah, there's a lot of things, and I've also got my YouTube channel where I try to bring in these messages as much as I can. I've been doing a lot of downloads, if you will, from Mary Magdalene. I'm calling them the speaker series. So I think there's about 13 episodes where she gives you like daily messages and guidance on how to navigate through any of these challenges that you might face with your own life. And she talks about timelines as well there. So yeah, it would be good to go and check that out.
Review.
Yeah, so there's lots of ways to connect with me. So I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming in, and thank you to your guides for speaking to me today and to the audience. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.